Right, well, in the last video I talked about the short course shell that went horribly wrong. I haven't touched it, so we're not going to bother in this video. I've done nothing to it. Now, why am I showing you this? Now, if you're new to my channel, you may not have seen this. This is, hang on, just bear with me while I take some stuff out of the back. Right, we're back again. Right, now, if you're new to my channel, you may not have even seen this. This is my 1/6 scale Ford Excursion. It started out as not a new bright, a fast road, anyway, like new bright Ford F350 pickup truck. It ended there with a little window, and then it was a truck bed after that. I made all of this out of, I have 3 of these, and I cut 2 of them up to make this. There's some people out there going, that is absolute sacrilege, and you're probably right, and I don't care. Now, the reason why did I do this? One, I've always liked the Ford Excursion, and nobody actually makes a model of one. I saw somebody do the same. Tamiya make a 1/12 version of this, which is what inspired the original purchase for this. I bought it from a company called Argos in the UK, and when it came, it was this king size, and I'm like, okay, I thought it was going to be like this size, and when the attendant brought the box out from on the back, I'm like, that's a very massive box for a normal sized RC car. And anyway, I thought, alright, okay, took it home, got it out of the box, and obviously, as you can see, if you look at the size of that little Tamiya there, that's about the same size. This, I thought this was going to be, anyway, so long story short, I've had one of these around my house for a very long time. Then I managed to pick up another 2. You'll see the remains of one under there. I'll come to that in a moment. So there's always, right from the first day I got one of these, a plan in my mind. I never knew how the hell I was going to do it. This is not a very strong build. If I took this out, and this is a working model, we have a Fusion SE motor in there. This thing actually goes, oh, it's very, very heavy. You can see it's got quite a substantial undercarriage. I cut this for a previous project and moved them apart to get length, and it didn't really work. I managed to find some longer drive shafts, so I moved it all back. I've lowered it to put the motor underneath here, and then changed my mind. This has had about 15 different setups. It was the F-150 original. This floor pan is from the F-150, or the front end. I mean, all this is metal, all the links, drive shafts, all the axles, all the rails, all the drop kit, drive shafts. It's all metal. This thing is very, very heavy. So that is the second part of the plan. I also planned on making a lighter version of this. I built this body not actually as a running RC. I built this to be a book for a mould. I always planned on making it out of plastic because it's not very strong. It's just pieces glued together front and back and smoothed. If I drove this and rolled it over, it would literally smash itself to pieces after 1 or 2 rolls. So I always planned on making a mould from this to make either a Lexan or a fiberglass version. That's been fraught with difficulty because I know nothing about making Lexan or fiberglass moulds, and so far I haven't managed it. Now, I've had a go at it just recently, so I'm going to show you the 2 things that I've done recently. One is, bear with me a moment, I need to move some stuff around. This is the start of a very light fiberglass version of, I should have turned this over first. Like I said, all this underside is metal. It's thin metal. It's like a tin, and that's aluminium. It's bolted together and glued using JB weld for metal. But like I said, it's heavy. Now, I thought to myself, right, if I get some tin foil, make a passable tinfoil copy of that, and then mould fiberglass into the top of it. And you know what? It sort of worked, except for fiberglass doesn't want to stick to aluminium. Anybody out there knows about fiberglass will probably explain to me why that is. So I made these and it didn't really work. So I made a cardboard version of the exact same chassis and fiberglassed to the back of that. Now it's not finished. The cold weather rolled in and stopped me dead in my tracks. Now I plan on getting some more. This isn't actually fiberglass matting. This is actually for drywall. It's like a really fine, like drywall tape, but without the adhesive. It's used for making the corners between fiberboard drywall sheets. So it wasn't really meant for this, and it sort of worked. It stuck to the cardboard because cardboard is porous. Like I say, failed miserably with the aluminium version, which, bear with me one moment. Okay, that was my wife telling me she's out and she wants to pick it up. Right, so I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick. Right, so this is going to be a working chassis. This is going to replace this metal one. Now, I plan on doing the same with the body, and that's where my problem lies. The body's quite a complicated shape. This is all flat and easy, and well, it wasn't particularly easy, I'll be honest. I plan on doing rubbing this back a little bit so that it's all this like rough stuff, and fiberglassing the other side. We're going to get some proper fiberglass matting and some more fiberglass resin, and hopefully this it won't be as, I mean, it's actually quite, it's rigid enough to hold itself up from the back, so I have high hopes for this, right? So that leads me on to the second part of this. Right, now up to this point, my entire plan was to get some fairly thick aluminium foil and cover this and fiberglass onto the back of it, and then it doesn't stick properly, and then peel it off and carry on fiberglassing to make a proper body. But the fact that it doesn't stick at all to fiberglass, to aluminium, and the fact that you can't get the aluminium to sit flat on this without gluing it to this, I'm like, yeah. Anyway, so what did I do? I had, years ago, I found loads of these. I found dozens of these. I work on the refuse collection, and sometimes you're on recycling, sometimes you're on general waste, and sometimes you find stuff like this. Now this is, I don't even know what millimetre this is. I think it's 0.2 or 0.3 mil aluminium sheet, and it's quite good for making, on my old F-150 for the Emax, I made this to cover the back. As you can see, this is quite rigid now. This is at 0.5 mil, I think. So I thought, oh, maybe I could do that again using some of these. Not these because they're patterned, but I had some of these where it was like this. So I cut the middle section out. Anyway, that's all that noise now. I get to show you what I made with it. Right, so we're ready for this unveil. Now, I've wanted to make this for a long time. I'm just going to show you it anyway. I'm going to move it around at the front. Right, now bear in mind, I've always been madly in love with the 80s Ford Bronco, like the one featured in the Jewel of the Nile with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. Right, I made this. It didn't. Yeah. I mean, it's fairly rigid. I mean, it's almost solid enough to pick the chassis up by, although it's not particularly heavy. Now, I've made these previously from the doors. That was actually really good, but they got crushed. There's another one somewhere. So these are just formed from the back of that, which is what I made it for, as I mentioned earlier. It didn't... I mean, if it was painted, it'd just look like a rough truck. I mean, the window needs to be longer, or the door needs to be longer, so you don't get this huge bit in the middle. So, yeah. Now, like I say, it sort of partially scratched the Bronco itch, but as you can see, I've just taped loads of bits of this over the other two trucks together. That, suffice it to say, doesn't work. Right, now, the other day, the universe, I found the universe provides, this is a 1980 to 88, I think, Ford Bronco. They made a Mark II, and then they went to the later version, which looks like the Tamiya King Blackfoot, in the 91, 92. Now, I've always been madly in love with this shape of Bronco, and having have a couple of these lying around. Kick your chair over. The front end of this is the same year as that Ford Bronco. Now I always planned on making one of these into a Bronco. Let me pick the chair up. I had these kitchen chairs given, I hate them. Yeah, now I was trying to make that in 6th scale. It's not going to work, but I have another plan. If anybody watches Tom's Refurb on YouTube, he's just dropped a Coyote 550 from a Mustang into an F-150. So I'm going to make like this into a work truck. Right, now, this chassis started out as 2 chassis rails with an extension that's meant to be to replace if you're making your axial 6x6. Now I've managed to find the aluminium end pieces, which has made it a lot more rigid. I've just bought a centre skid plate for it. It's aluminium, so this is going to be a working chassis soon. And I wanted a body for it. I seriously wanted a body for it, and this was going to be it, but it's just not going to work. So, like I said, the universe provides. My wife is usually pretty. She doesn't like this hobby. I spend more time with the hobby than I do with her. I really, sometimes can't help it. But I found a Lexan 84 Bronco. I saw one many years ago. They were quite common at the time, and they disappeared. And she said, until nearly, if I hadn't been sat down, I would have fallen over. She said, no, just get it. So I did. So I'm waiting for that to come. Now, this chassis is too long for what is basically the same size body. So I will now have a Chevy Blazer and a Ford Bronco. Now, I've always wanted one of each. Always. That's why I latched onto the Blackfoot, because it's the same shape as the Bronco. So I'm waiting for that to arrive now. I've ordered it, paid for it. It's been dispatched. It's coming. It is coming. Now, I don't know what paint job to do on it, but that means this is dead. It was an idea, a silly idea, which it's so fragile. So fragile. And the cheap. Right, so as the universe provides an answer to one question, it always creates 2 more unanswered questions. Now, this is my sorry, I had a brain fart. I don't remember what it's called. This is my Project Ironhide. It's very dusty. Ironhide from Transformers. I've had this body shell for a long time. It's actually an E-Revo Emax body shell, which has, in theory, the Emax has roughly the same wheelbase as these crawlers, which is about 13 inch. Now, so this shell is more or less the right size for that chassis, but the links are a little long. So, because it didn't fit, I bought an SCX10 2 clone. Now, some of the bits I've swapped over, and some of the bits I've moved stuff around. But if I'd have known I could have got a Bronco that would have gone straight on this without any modifications, probably wouldn't have painted this. I'd have probably sold it and got rid. So that leaves me with a quandary now. I wasn't planning on buying any more RC cars, and this chassis doesn't. So, I'm going to wait for the Bronco body to come. I'm not doing any more on these now until the Bronco body comes. Another thing is, well, I ordered aluminium sheet is available on eBay, but it's so difficult to work with. So as I was looking around, I found some 0.1mm copper sheeting. Now, I've got a map torch and some cold welding rods that I've never used, and you can use them on copper and aluminium. So I think I'm going to try and make a body shell out of thin copper. I bought a small roll of like a 1 meter by, it's like 1 meter long by 2 inch strip. Now I can make up, I can do the same as I've done here, but in pieces, and then either JB weld or actually solder it together using my map torch. So yeah, that's a plan B. And if that works, I can buy a much bigger roll of copper sheet and make the entire thing out of it then, using one of these as a template, maybe copper soft metal, so maybe I can hammer and dolly it into, like, use this as a mould, a form, a book, as you will. So we'll see. That's the plan. So I may, when I next get some money come in, get another one of these and put it under the Bronco. I may get an old Tamiya and put it under the Bronco. I may put that under the Bronco and keep that shell. I don't know, because I've never driven it. I've had it out in the garden, but the CCO one it's based on is shit. There's something wrong with it anyway. So yeah, that's the overall plan. Multiple ifs and buts going on at the moment. I've asked my daughter if she could spare a weekend because I need to get this thing out. I'm going to give it a run, just one run. With this, it's got a fairly big motor in it. It should be quite capable. It's got fair articulation as far as it's a trail truck. It's never going to be a proper crawler, but these are the wheels that came on this chassis. It was a fully working chassis. It had a motor and everything. All it needed was a speed controller and did it come with a servo? Can't remember if it came with a steering servo. But like I say, I extended it to fit under this shell because I really wanted an Ironhide. And this has not seen any use yet. I haven't even used it. So there's multiple trucks that haven't been used yet. That one hasn't run since I finished it. That one hasn't run because it's minus an ESC at the moment. Yeah, so right, there we go, 16 odd minutes on. So yes, thanks for watching. Like, rate, subscribe. Hopefully the warmer weather's coming around now. Hopefully my daughter will spare me some time and we'll get this puppy out. I really want to get this because these tyres are cheap, but they are rough tread and pretty soft compound, so hopefully it'll be quite capable. And they are just the perfect size for that, are they not? So yeah, we'll see. Right, thanks for watching, Pete.